Greetings and salutations, friends. It has been a busy day today, and we have a great show for you tonight. First, I wanted to talk about, of course, the Georgia Guidestones. For those unaware, today is a day which should be remembered in the history of conspiracy land, July 6th, 2022. Because today, early this morning, apparently somebody blew up somebody did something. We're still trying to determine what actually happened. But a portion of the Georgia Guidestones were destroyed by what appears to me to be explosives of some sort. But we're still trying to ascertain. We have several views of the actual explosion recorded on closed caption cameras, which we're going to be sharing. But I thought this was an interesting story today because this Guidestones has been a real mystery for as long as I can remember. For those unaware, the Georgia Guidestones for decades now, they have been a mystery. The strange granite monument known as the Georgia Guidestones has been a mystery since 1980. A mysterious man known only as R.C. Christian apparently paid a local granite company to create this monolithic-looking granite monument, and it was first erected in 1980. Of course, it's called the Georgia Guidestones because it's in Georgia. It was erected in a little small sleepy town, Elbert County, Georgia. Since then, the mysterious Georgia Guidestones have become something of a myth or a legend in conspiracy land. They have become sort of a magnet for various conspiracy theories throughout the years. These conspiracy theories include global depopulation, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, Luciferian Satan worshippers, the New World Order, and more. I thought it important I will share my screen so that I can give you a view. Let me get that here for you of what is actually on the Georgia Guidestones. Sort of a message for humanity in a post-apocalyptic world. At least that's what many believe it to be. So let me share my screen here, friends. And this, of course, is being shared all over Twitter right now. So the message of the Georgia Guidestones is: 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. 3, unite humanity within a living new language. 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. 8, balance personal rights with social duties. 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. 10, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. So it's interesting. This is the actual message, and it's printed in multiple languages on the actual Georgia Guidestones. And you can see where some of these conspiracy theories came from. After all, the population of the planet is in the billions already and growing, and the Georgia Guidestones are telling people maintain humanity under 500 million. So there we get these conspiracy theories that this was put here by the ruling elite who want to depopulate us to under 500 million for some reason. Also, there is various conspiracy theories about reproduction, how some people are useless and should be just, sterilized so that they don't continue to contribute to the human gene pool. These are old ideas dating back to Nazi Germany and before. But people believe that there's some Nazi influence here because of that line. You can see how this Georgia Guidestones has become such a magnet for conspiracy theories throughout the years. Generally, people believe that this message was put here in all these different languages so that after a planet killing event, a catastrophic apocalyptic event on Earth, people would be able to find these Guidestones and have some guidance for how to rebuild humanity. And throughout the years, we have covered the Georgia Guidestones. We even talked to a somewhat expert on one. You can search our previous videos. Talked to him today, and I'm going to bring him here and talk about this event with the Georgia Guidestones being destroyed today. And it's interesting that conspiracy theories surrounding the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones are already spreading through the internet like wildfire. They're on 4chan, 8chan, Twitter, Facebook. People are already saying, oh, it was destroyed because today is Herbert Walker Bush's birthday. I don't know what the connection there, but, people talk about stenography and secret messages being hidden in plain sight. Well, of course they destroyed it. His father was one of the heads of the New World Order, so they're sending a message to the global elite. Before we get into the videos, which I have to share for you, I thought maybe we should just show you some images of the Guidestones when they were there. Apparently today, after 4 a.m. or so, Eastern Standard Time, the explosion went off, destroying one main pillar of this huge monolithic structure. And directly sometime later, the local authorities apparently knocked down the rest of the monument because it was a huge safety hazard, with one of the huge pillars being basically destroyed by, we don't know what yet, an explosion, perhaps? Some people believe that this was destroyed by a bolt of lightning. Some people, I'm already getting messages from military people or people with military experience who are telling me they watched the videos and that was a rocket-propelled grenade. And to be clear, we're not telling you what actually happened. We're just talking in general terms about the chatter on the interwebs about what may have occurred that have taken a large portion of this structure down and out. So here we see the structure, and again, that message is essentially written in, I believe it's 9 different languages. Could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've really been into following the Georgia Guidestones, but what an interesting part of conspiracy land. And I, for one, am sad if they're not going to rebuild it, or they're just going to knock it over. And, also it should be noted that I called the local police there and asked a lot of questions, and all they would tell me is that there is an active ongoing investigation, and as such they can not comment further. So I asked questions like, was it an explosive? Was it a rocket propelled grenade? Do you guys, have you done any forensics to determine what type of explosive, if it was an explosive that was used? And again, because it's an active investigation, the police there would only say that the event is an active investigation and they are following up leads. Later, the police began to release videos. So those videos sort of dispelled the myth that it was simply a large lightning strike which took this portion of this structure down. And even if it was a lightning strike, that would be incredibly interesting to me, because how biblical would that be, that this symbol of the New World Order got struck by lightning and fell over, right, and toppled. But it would appear, based on the evidence released by the police, that they're looking for people that may have been involved in the event today. So that sort of rules, in my mind, that rules out a natural event like a lightning strike causing this. Okay, so we're gonna get to the videos. I have multiple angles of the videos, and sadly, I also have imagery of the structure being torn down. Yeah, so 1 second, friends. Let's queue up these. You can see, I thought it was a lightning strike too. When I first saw this, I thought that's lightning. But you know, turns out once you view the other angles, I'm not so sure that it's lightning anymore. Okay, 1 second, friends. So I'm going to cite fair use, even though we're sharing from Twitter. This is a news story in the public interest. I am using these images to educate the public, and we'll be talking about those videos. This is fair use. So here is the first angle that everybody was looking at, and this one certainly, to me, looks like a lightning strike. Looked like it could have been a lightning strike. Interesting, though, what force, right? And, you know, that's a granite structure, and it is literally being blown apart here. One of those huge pillars is being literally blown apart here. And I am no expert on explosives, but I remarked to a friend earlier today that I would think, based on my limited experience with playing with things I shouldn't, that this sort of destruction of a granite slab would require, I don't know, 5 or 6 pounds of black powder or a few sticks of dynamite to do that kind of damage. It's a pretty incredible destructive force that we're witnessing here. Okay, so let's move on to one of the other angles. And thanks to Spooky and several other people, we were able to see multiple angles here. Here is another view of the event. Pretty amazing occurrence. Somebody's got to really not like the New World Order, right? If it is indeed somebody intentionally blowing this thing up, I would be interested to hear what their motivations were. But like I said, this thing is it is a magnet for conspiracy theories. And it also should be noted, while talking to the police today, I did ask a few questions like, is it vandalized often? And I was told by the local police there that it's vandalized usually with something harmless like spray paint. Every few months, somebody goes and spray paints. There's pictures on the internet of people spray painting no NWO across it and things like that, or no Satanists, you know, because nobody knows who actually is responsible for putting up the monument. Of course, people have speculated for years as to who's behind it. Is it Satanists? Is it the Freemasons? Is it the New World Order? Is it the Illuminati? I have also, of course, heard that this RC Christian is some allusion or homage to a Christian sect, Rosicrucianism, which I can never say right, so pardon the mispronunciation. All right, so we've got another. Here is where it gets interesting, because apparently there was a vehicle that left the scene of the Georgia Guidestones right after the explosion. And this is, again, police footage that they have released. The police are looking for people to, if anybody has any information, please contact the Elbert County Police. Apparently, this vehicle was seen fleeing the scene right after the explosion. So to me, that kind of tells me that this was not a naturally occurring event. And here, sadly, we're going to see a video here of the Guidestones being taken down. They're being demolished. And again, the police did tell me that for safety concerns, they had to knock the rest of it down. Once that first pillar was gone, they all rested on each other. I mean, it's like a table. If you rip one table leg down, it's not going to be a very stable table. And people come to this every day. So I could imagine that they were concerned that one of these slabs would literally fall on some visitor. So here it is being knocked over. And I don't know about you, but me, I care a little bit, well, probably a lot more than I should, about conspiracy land history. So, today, no matter what you think of these Georgia Guidestones, I think that we are witnessing a piece of conspiracy land history here. Are they going to rebuild it? Or is it, nobody knows yet. It's still too early, I suppose. But I would think that based on the tourists that they got from this thing, that maybe the town will chip in and rebuild it. Who knows? Sad day, though, for conspiracy land. I don't believe that the mystery of the Guidestones has ever been solved. And I don't know that it ever will be, but this will be. Believe it or not, this event is already on Wikipedia. That's how quickly the information of what happened spread. Interesting to me. So, let me know what you guys think about this event. Because, and like I said before, not surprisingly, conspiracy theories are already, oh, geez, I got to get this. 1 second. There we go.
Bluetooth mode.
So, as I said earlier, not surprisingly, conspiracy theories are already running through the interwebs like wildfire. Some say that it was a plot related to Q to show that the deep state, that we're coming for them. Others have said that it was purposefully destroyed today on George Herbert Walker Bush's birthday to send a message to the global elite that we will not be their slaves. Others have said that the Freemasons blew it up because it somehow contains heretical satanic information that reveals the true nature of the Freemasons, and they didn't want people to know the true nature of their sect. These are just, of course, a few examples, and we've shown you the various angles of the explosion and what happened directly after the explosion took place. So what do you think? Was it destroyed with explosives? Again, some military people have said that it appeared to be a rocket-propelled grenade. Others have said that it might have been nothing more than something natural, like that the damage was caused by a massive lightning strike. Let us know what you think in the comments. Was it blown up with a bomb? Was it a rocket-propelled grenade? Was it a lightning strike? Or do you have another theory? What do you think happened to the Georgia Guidestones today? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you or someone you know knows what actually happened or have information about the, I suppose, perpetrators of the crime, please do contact Elbert County, Georgia Police. I have contacted them earlier today, and they would only say that there's an active investigation into this event that is taking place. They would give no further comment and would not answer any additional questions. So there we have it. It's a day in conspiracy land history here. The Georgia Guidestones blown up and then knocked over and toppled. It's just an interesting event to me, and something I never expected would happen. I mean, these granite slabs are huge. I thought that thing would be there till the end of time, honestly. I thought a future civilization might find it and say, what's this shit about, right? Gone. It appears that even rock, granite, stone is not timeless. But I guess it's the best we have at preserving things, right? Set it in stone is a saying for a reason. But in this case, I'll be following this story and we'll bring you any updates. I think that maybe the police will find out who's behind this plot to destroy the Georgia Guidestones for some reason. And if any future developments happen, we'll bring them to you. Now, I wanted to also remind everyone, remind everyone about tomorrow's special event. This is very important, and we've worked very, very hard. Tomorrow is the Roswell 75th anniversary of the Roswell event. Now, some people have sent me messages, and I understand, yes, the crash occurred on July 2nd or 3rd, according to some experts. The event and the newspaper and the thing blowing up began on July 7th. So generally, July 7th is observed as the Roswell anniversary. It was for the 50th and every other year. So yes, tomorrow is the 75th anniversary of the Roswell event. And finally, I did something right. I knew that big anniversary was coming up. So for quite some time now, I have been interviewing experts, authors, researchers, and really trying to get to the bottom of the mystery. And tomorrow we will present a Roswell 75th anniversary deep dive event, the likes of which you've never seen. It is a full-on 20+ hours of content, all interviews and information related to Roswell. We have a section with some digitally restored, actually, original Roswell witness testimony, some of the original witnesses being interviewed, which we restored. We did the best that we could, restoring, cleaning up the audio, cleaning up the video, and sort of repackaging it for a special event. It's a 20-hour deep dive into Roswell. I am so proud of this work. We have been interviewing people for quite some time in preparation for putting this whole thing together. And during the break, I was able to put it all together. It's locked, it's loaded, it's on YouTube. The first one, there's parts 1, 2, and 3. Parts 1 is 6 hours. Part 2 is 6 hours, and part 3 is 8 hours. So we're beginning the broadcast at 9 a.m. And then when that one ends, there's a 1-hour break, and the second 6 hour starts, and there's a 1-hour break. So I invite you all day and all night tomorrow to be a part of our Roswell 75th anniversary special deep dive. And I certainly want to thank all the people that made it possible. We have to thank Don Schmidt, Kevin Randle, Cal Korff, alien scientist, Michael Schratt, Tom Carey, Walter Bosley, and even Stanton Friedman, who I have included some portions of an interview I once did where he talked about Roswell. Just a bunch of great researchers, and it's a really fun ride down the Roswell rabbit hole. It begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. and then, like I said, so it starts at 9 a.m., the total event. And then the first part is over at 3 p.m. There's an hour break. And then at 4 p.m., the second part, the next 6 hours begins. And then again, there's an hour break. It ends at 10 p.m. But then at 11 p.m., and this is all Eastern Standard Time, we're beginning the Roswell 75th Anniversary Deep Dive Part 3. And that will run until something like 4 a.m. I will be in and out of the live chat all day. And I also just wanted to make sure that I mention this is very important, because this is a pre-recorded piece and jammed all together, big piece for us. I won't be live to be able to thank the super chatters, but just a note, all super chats, super stickers, PayPal pledges, or cash app pledges that are sent tomorrow during this all day, all night event will be read and thanked during our very next live show, which is going to be this Friday, July 8th at 9 p.m. We're going to be doing a panel show to talk about Roswell or whatever anybody wants to talk about. Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be broadcasting from the cabin just to be sure that we do that. I wanted to have a panel after everybody gets to digest this whole thing and see what does everybody think really happened at Roswell. So if you'd like to be a panel member, be sure to be here Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, tomorrow, all day, all night, the Roswell special event. Okay. So I also wanted to be sure that I mention, we have previously covered David Wilcock here a lot. And sometimes it gets very tedious listening to his 4-hour live streams. So what I've decided to do instead is to take a moment here and figure out a better way to cover him. And I think that we got it. What we're going to do is we're having a new segment of the show, and we're just calling it The Wacky World of Wilcock. And we'll take clips of him. And anyway, you'll get the idea, friends. So tonight is the world premiere of the first segment of The Wacky World of Wilcock here on Truth Seekers. I'll be right back.
All these ancient prophecies telling us that the world will be transformed.
Wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? He makes all this stuff up and claims that it's all true. The aliens want to eat us. Be careful that they don't get you. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal?
This is where if I have a live audience, I get everybody to hug each other. I say, give your neighbor a handshake or a hug, whatever you feel is appropriate to you. And that way everybody feels the love a little more. I will never believe it, I will never believe it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you need 25,000 more years, I don't know, buddy. But look, this is really compelling information, and it's going to get a lot more intense. It's coming up in a couple days here on Sunday, so if you haven't already signed up, we have reopened the cart. We still have the payment plan in place. That's catalyst. Catalyst is negative experience, and so others mirror you back to yourself. Barack Obama, as I said before, I chilled with black guys from Harlem. I smoked cannabis with them, 420, blunts, White Owl, Philly blunt. I learned raps, okay? I've never been a racist. I don't even understand this. It's not real. It's an illusory reality, and other selves are the catalyst to piercing the veil. So look what's happening with other selves right now. And now I'm giving you a virginal third mind that's different than the two realities that you get to choose from. Why can't you understand something that's so easy? Very evil people are running the planet and want to kill you. And say, well, I don't believe this, and it makes me scared, and it makes me feel unsafe. But hypothetically, theoretically, maybe, perhaps, just in case, what if? And I don't remember what happened, but now I do. Now I do. And I want revenge. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. I want revenge. I want these people gone. I want these beings gone. They shouldn't be able to torture people like this. They shouldn't be able to do things to children like what they did to me. And the things that I'm now remembering that happened to me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be crying like this. I'm sorry. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe that these things happen to me. That's okay. And I want to get back to the slides so we can talk about where this is going. Why was it difficult? And these things were done to me against my will. The people who molested me did so against my will. They did it on stage. They did it in front of large audiences. And they were making fun of me because I had special abilities in this ultimate personality that they created. I had telekinesis. And so if you go back to some of the dreams that I posted online in 1997, there's a dream where I'm in my school cafeteria and everyone in the audience is in a robe. And they all have their way with me, make them a banana sandwich. And I didn't realize when I wrote that dream down that it was true, but that I couldn't remember because the memories were taken away from me. But now I do. Now I remember. I don't want to go into this a whole lot more, but it explains why I've been so committed to my path of justice and freedom. Why I will not let this go on. Why I do not support these people. I did not deserve to go through what I went through. I did not deserve to be raped. I don't care what happens to me anymore, folks. Now that I know what they did, I don't care. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say about me. This has got to stop. We need this thing to end. We need these people to stop succeeding in what they're doing, and we need their overlords to stop gaining the louche energy of torture, the ceremonies that they make people go through, and the horrible things that they make people do.
Well, there you have it, friends. The wacky world of Wilcock. I want to be very clear in saying that we, of course, are not making fun of any victim of any kind of assault. However, it should be noted that David Wilcock is clearly, in my view, making up new stories to tell his gullible audience. This is what he does. This is just the latest of his ridiculous claims that have no evidence. He's got superpowers. You know, now he's essentially saying that a group of satanic reptilian aliens kidnapped him and molested him or assaulted him. I don't believe that that's true. And I believe that he is acting here, complete with cue the close-up while I cry. This is despicable in my view, and is really, I mean, it's a pretty low thing to do to actual victims of assault, to make up fake, stupid claims about aliens butt raping you or whatever, you know. And I also want to mention this edit was contributed, of course, by Wild Ascension, who is the only other person on planet Earth, with maybe one other exception, actually, that cares to clip together David Wilcock's craziness. So she'll be contributing here, and has in the past, to the wacky world of Wilcock. I'll be doing some edits, maybe a few others. We'll see how this segment of the show goes. Now, on to tonight's main topic, friends. I'm sorry, busy day. Tonight's main topic is about Nick Pope. And we're asking the question here. Let's be very clear. We're asking the question, not making any, you know, I'm not making a claim by, I'm not making any claims here. I'm simply asking a question. If Nick Pope is running around taking money from conference organizers, documentary filmmakers, or whoever, accepting money, claiming that he ran a British UFO program, and then we find out that the program that he claims to have run never existed, and he never indeed investigated any UFOs, and we've got the proof of it tonight, and in fact, we've got the receipts. This is also going to be a new feature, space allowing. I want to thank our kind and generous benefactors and Patreon supporters, channel members, because those funds help us to have a big cloud drive. And while that cloud drive exists, we will be sharing our research materials for every show from now on. So you can see in the description of the video, there is a Google Drive link to everything that we are sharing and talking about tonight, insofar as evidence against Nick Pope ever running a British UFO program. And you can access those files. They're free for everyone. But I want to begin tonight. We mentioned Roswell 75th anniversary is tomorrow. A lot of this newfound interest in Nick Pope being what I would term as a lying joke resurfaced recently because Nick Pope is being employed by the Roswell Daily Record, the newspaper in Roswell, to speak at their 75th anniversary events. Several people, most notably Cal Korff, who is on our panel for the Roswell. He's one of the original civilian Roswell investigators, an author on Roswell. He found great fault with them employing Nick Pope, and released this press release. Oop, wrong one. Let's try that again. I thought I had it. Oh, there we go. It's in the drive, dummy, not the notepad. There we go. 1 second, friends. Let me get that here for us. Chrome tab, my drive. Let's try that. Roswell, this is a press release by Cal Korff, and it says Roswell Daily Record news editor John Dillman cons the public by pushing fake British mod UFO director Nick Pope for 75th hype anniversary. And this press release went out on July 1st. Roswell, New Mexico, July 1st, 2022. Quote, as one of the 3 surviving original Roswell investigators, I refuse to sit by and watch Roswell Daily Record editor John Dillman outright lie to the public and steal their money by trying to convince the public to pay their hard-earned cash in these inflationary times to see fake British UFO director Nick Pope, who is a fraud and was never any UFO director for the British government. Pope was exposed as a fraud last century. Dillman was warned in writing. He and his newspaper, History Channel, any promoters of this are now all guilty of helping commit the crimes of consumer fraud, says Cal Korff. Cal Korff goes on to say, quote, accordingly, I announced with this release that I am filing formal criminal complaints with the Roswell police and sheriff. I have contacted the district attorney using a Brad's M5 workstation and its AI software. We are taking appropriate actions and have set up a dedicated internet page so that victims of Pope's Roswell Daily Records History Channel's money scams can seek damages and compensation if so requested. And I want to be clear in that this is Cal Korff's claims and all those statements he is responsible for. We're simply reporting on that press release here. I get enough legal threat letters. I'd rather not start getting new ones. So it has been, I believe, substantially supported and proven that Nick Pope lies. When he says he ran a British UFO program, there is documents that prove that he is being completely dishonest in making those claims. So I have a large portion of documents here, and we're going to get to those now and show you the proof, which would seem to indicate that there is that Nick Pope is not being honest at all. So here first is a letter from the British MOD saying no such project exists. And again, this is all shared. You can look at these documents as well. Thank you for your letter dated 15th of April. You may find it useful if I explain that the sole interest of the United Kingdom Ministry of Defense is in reported sightings of unidentified flying objects is to establish whether or not they have any bearing on the defense of the country. And here's where it gets interesting. There is no organization in the Ministry of Defense appointed solely for the purpose of studying reports of such objects, and no staff are employed. I suppose, I'm not sure, there's a mistake there. The subject full-time. No staff are employed, I suppose, working on the subject full-time. The reports we receive are referred to as staff in the department who are responsible for the air defense of the United Kingdom, and they examine the reports as part of their normal duties. Since our interest in UFOs is limited to possible defense implications, we have not carried out a study into the scientific significance of these phenomena. Unless there are defense implications, we do not attempt to identify sightings, and we cannot inform observers of the probable identity of the objects seen. The department could not justify the expenditure of public funds on investigations which go beyond pure defense interests. And the reason that this is so important is because Nick Pope has at various times claimed that he investigated alien abductions for the British Ministry of Defense. He has claimed that he investigated crop circles for the British Ministry of Defense. We're going to see proof that they don't investigate those things at all at the British Ministry of Defense. But his fake biography, which he, I suppose, fabricated to get more jobs talking about UFOs, says that he investigated alien abductions for the British Ministry of Defense and crop circles. This letter goes on to say, we have to recognize that there are many strange things to be seen in the sky, but we believe there are adequate explanations for them. There may be satellite debris re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, ball lightning, unusual cloud formations, meteorological balloons, aircraft lights, aircraft at unusual angles, or many other things. And it mentions Rendlesham Forest. They just have the report by Charles Wall. So this is the beginning of when Nick Pope's story began to fall apart. And several times this has come up. And isn't it interesting that now, after all these years, people are finally starting to say, this is consumer fraud. People are making those claims. We're not making those claims here. We are asking the question. What do you think? Is this consumer fraud? If he claims that he ran some government program that never existed and never did what he said, is it just dishonest, him taking money and making those ridiculous claims that he can't prove are true? Or is it a criminal offense of consumer fraud? Now, I believe that it rises to the level of criminality. It's a form of fraud. If I pay, these UFO conferences are very expensive. And if a UFO conference, and all of them that booked Nick Pope have done this, every UFO conference that books Nick Pope, they list him as the person that ran the British UFO program, or British UFO program expert, or something along those lines, leading consumers to believe that you're paying your few $100s to hear someone speak about UFOs that was actually employed by the British government to study and investigate UFOs, when that is not the case, apparently. So there's much more proof here. I like this proof, which was provided, by the way, these files were provided to me by Phillip Mantle, and there's also something we'll be sharing from Kevin Randle. I want to thank them for doing the work so I didn't have to do so much. I just had to read it, understand it, and translate. I'm gonna share my screen. This is very important, friends, because remember, Nick Pope claimed that he ran the British UFO program, but here we see a document that he himself wrote. And in this document, it essentially says wrong number. Today at about 12:20, I received a telephone call from redacted. She was following up on her previous call to this person on 10th March 1999. I explained to her that that person was not in until next week, and she wished to speak to somebody in DI-55 who received the UFO reports from SecAz to discuss a low-flying incident. DI-55 is the actual place that they would send UFO reports. Nick Pope did not work at DI-55 at all, never. So again, the British Ministry of Defense is on record saying that UFO reports, or people making UFO reports, would be referred to that section of the government, DI-55, who would basically determine if it was a national security risk before even caring. Nick Pope did not work for DI-55. He was a secretary. So in this document, which he himself wrote, he said, I said I would find somebody to phone her back, and she gave her telephone number. She was calling from redacted near where the incident took place. At about 1300 hours after consulting with so-and-so, redacted, I phoned her back and left a message on her answering machine suggesting that she phone SECAS. This is the answering machine provided. So the point of this proof here is somebody calls Nick Pope where he works and wants to talk about their UFO sighting or talk to somebody about their UFO sighting. Nick Pope refers her to the real agency that deals with UFO reports. Nick Pope did not deal with UFO reports, investigate UFO reports. He had zero to do with UFOs except to forward people to the appropriate party. This right here, my friends, is proof positive. If he was the director or head of a British UFO program, why, when somebody calls him about UFOs, is he saying, don't talk to me, you got to talk to these DI-55 guys. They're the ones who get and handle the reports, not me. And it's interesting because we don't have one of these wrong number reports that he himself wrote. He wrote these documents. Gotta love the British government for preserving all this stuff so we can see the actual truth behind Nick Pope. And here is, of course, another wrong number report where he had to forward somebody to the real people who handled UFOs, not him. This is 10th of March. Telephone call received on Wednesday, March 10th, which may have further repercussions. I've been asked to talk to you about a UFO sighting. He says, sorry, didn't quite catch what you said. Say again. You are the person who deals with this subject, aren't you? And he says, listen to this. You are the person who deals with this subject, aren't you? That's who's calling. They said, I'm calling about a UFO. You are the person who deals with this subject, aren't you? And Nick Pope says, I think you might have the wrong department. If he is the guy who investigates UFOs for the British government, why, when people call on the phone about UFOs, is he telling people, I think you might have the wrong department? Could it be because he's a liar and he misstated his responsibilities and he never was responsible ever for investigating UFOs for the British government? Here, right here, written by his own hand, we have the admission, I think you might have the wrong department. So, he does take some of the details of the phone call down. And then he says, I think the best thing I can do is look at our telephone directory for SECAS and tell them about it. Can you give me your telephone number so I can get back to you? So basically, he is forwarding along to the real person that deals with UFOs. Nick Pope was not the person in the British MOD that dealt with UFOs. Right here in black and white, written by his own hand. And by the way, I have this on very good authority from Phillip Mantle that these were wrong number reports were written by him. Great. And let's go. We'll show you one more time that somebody called Nick Pope about UFOs and he said, sorry, I don't do UFOs. You got to talk to the real people that do the UFOs. I don't do that. This is great because apparently somebody got his name and number and started calling him. But again, he's forwarding them. He tells the person, I will try and pass on the message today. Goodbye. Probably somebody will come back to you. He says, I then rang redacted person in SECAS2. She has been gone about a month. They called the name of this person or anything like it or received a call, pass this message with my name to DI55 and phone number extension in DI55. So again, somebody's calling Nick Pope about UFOs. And what is he doing? He's forwarding their phone call and their name and phone number and their information to the real people in the British government that handled UFO reports, not him. He was never the real person that handled UFO reports. He was never the real person that investigated any UFO reports. On record, the British government has said that's DI55 right here. So every time Nick Pope gets a phone call about UFOs, he's forwarding it to DI55, the real section of the British government that deals with UFO reports. Nick Pope did not investigate shit, okay? And I'm tired. Right? People like it when I say I'm tired. I am tired of UFO conference organizers advertising this clown saying that he investigated UFOs for the British government. Do 5 minutes of homework and you can find the evidence that he never investigated shit for the British government. He was a secretary. He answered people's phone calls and then forwarded them to the real people that investigated and dealt with UFO reports. So how many of you UFO conferences have profited booking this clown and lying to your audiences that are paying for tickets to see your conferences by telling them that he ran a British UFO program or he investigated UFOs for the British government. I mean, it depends on how loose we want to be with definitions. If your idea of investigating is to take a phone call and then forward the phone call to somebody else, great, but that's not investigating. That's being a secretary. He was a member of the secretariat pool. And by the way, I gotta love Phillip Mantle, because he sent me these files. He was very kind to me. And he also made sure that I understand that they define Nick Pope as a member of the secretarial pool. So he gave me the definition. The definition of secretarial, and that's what Nick Pope did, is 1, the office of a secretary, 2, secretarial corps, specifically the clerical staff of an organization. Now, I don't know about you, but I've worked as a clerk in an office. You're not investigating shit. You're not going outside. You're sitting at a desk clerking shit. Nick Pope was a secretary and a clerk. And we can see very clearly from his own admissions here, he answered the phones. Oh, you want to talk about a UFO? Let me get you to the right person that actually investigates UFOs. Let me get you to the right department that actually deals with UFO reports, because I don't. Because I'm a nobody secretary sitting at a desk pretending to be Fox Mulder all day, I guess. In other words, you know, he was a cleric, an administrative assistant, you know, kind of like I've worked in offices. You know what administrative assistants and secretaries, they answer the phone, they type letters for people higher up on the food chain than them. They get coffee sometimes or help with whatever needs to be done in the office. They file papers in the filing cabinets. They go get you a file. I had one corporate job where, you know, like maybe 4 of us guys shared one girl who was a secretary or admin assistant to all of us. And if we needed something, she would go get it. You know, I need the Jones file. I got to call them. She would go get it. It was nice. My point is, this is a lower level rung in an office environment. A secretary or an admin assistant is pretty low. It's the bottom of the totem pole. So Nick Pope was the very bottom of the totem pole here. He was not an important person as he claims to be. Somebody that runs an entire program for the British government, that would be an important person. Nick Pope was not an important person. Nick Pope was a secretary who answered the phone and forwarded UFO stuff to the right people that actually did that real work that he claims to have done but can't prove he ever did. And even the British government disputes that he had any responsibilities relating. They dispute that he had any responsibilities relating to UFOs other than just forwarding information to the right party, right? One second. Now I'm just previewing here. We got a lot of files there. Yeah, and here's another thing that proves that Nick Pope never investigated UFOs. He claims that he ran the British UFO program. He claims he investigated UFOs for the British government. But we can see time and time again when we see the actual proof. Here's another letter written by Nick Pope himself. Thank you for sending me the video of the unidentified flying object that you witnessed from your garden last year. I have had an initial look at the tape and I have not been able to come up with any obvious explanation. One initial idea was it may be anti-collision light from the aircraft that was much higher than the helicopter. Having said this, here's the important part. I will pass the tape to some of my colleagues here to see what they think and try to come up with some other ideas. I will, of course, let you know what we come up with, although I cannot promise that I will have any more luck than you. I have enclosed a copy of the standard UFO report form that is used to record information and unusual objects in the sky. If you would not mind filling out this form, it would help us to get a better judgment about what you saw. Does that sound like an investigation to you, or does that sound like somebody just happened to get to him, get his name and phone number, and send him a tape? he's going to look at it with colleagues, or is he going to forward it to colleagues? In this case, he didn't investigate shit. He didn't go out and talk to the woman. He didn't go and take pictures of the sighting event. He didn't get other witness testimony or try to rule out natural phenomena. No, he didn't investigate shit. He just wrote this letter, a lady, a nice letter. Thanks for your UFO video. I don't know what it is. Does this sound like the head of a national UFO organization to you? Or does this sound like some guy sitting at a desk that's bored and once in a while something interesting like this comes across his desk? I know what I believe. All right, we're going to find some more of this Nick Pope fun. Yeah, and again, here is more of the smoking gun proof that Nick Pope never investigated UFOs for the British government, and that he indeed, I believe he lies through his teeth in his own biography. And I believe that that's a form of consumer fraud, or could be. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police officer. More on that later. I did reach out to some law enforcement today. All right. So this is a letter to Mr. Easton, who inquired about Nick Pope's actual responsibilities at the British Ministry of Defense. He says, "Thank you for your letters of 24th of August and 15th of September, which enclosed redacted. You asked various questions about the role of Mr. Pope when he worked in Section AS2. Mr. Pope was employed as an executive officer in Secretariat Air Staff. Again, he's a secretary. His post was designated SEC AS2A. The main duties of the post concern non-operational Royal Air Force activities overseas and diplomatic clearance policy for military flights abroad." So basically, he's a clerk and a secretary that checks if it's okay to fly over certain areas before they file flight plans. That's what he actually did. The letter goes on to say a small percentage of his time is spent dealing with reports from the public about alleged UFO sightings and associated public correspondence. The Ministry of Defense has not investigated a case of alien abduction, crop circle formations, or animal mutilation. It's very important that we make sure we understand that Nick Pope on record has said that he, for the Ministry of Defense, investigated alien abductions, crop circle formations, and cattle mutilations. And here is a letter from the British government confirming that the Ministry of Defense has not investigated a case of alien abduction, crop circle formations, or animal mutilation. Here we have in black and white that Nick Pope lies in his biography, or at the very least embellishes. I wouldn't call that an embellishment. He says that he investigated alien abductions, crop circles, and animal mutilations for the British Ministry of Defense. Here they are in black and white saying, we don't investigate those things. I think it's very clear, and the more that you look at these documents, the more clear it becomes that Nick Pope is a lying joke. And the more I look at these things, the more angry I get. Why on God's green earth is this guy on Fox News saying that he ran a British UFO program? Why is he on the History Channel saying that he ran a British UFO program? Did they not vet him even a little bit? And to be very clear, most of this information has been out there for a very long time. And it's unfortunate, but people just don't care. People apparently just don't care. They don't care that this man is not who he says he is while he's taking their money. And it should also be noted, did you know that Nick Pope, I think for a time, he was selling Skype calls as the guy who ran the British UFO program. He's selling Skype calls for $50 or $100. I can't remember how much it cost. You could get a 15-minute Skype call with Nick Pope. He was selling that. Is that a form of consumer fraud? If he's saying I ran a British UFO program and it's pretty conclusively proven here by these documents that no, he didn't investigate shit. One second, friends. So, I mean, there's plenty more. there's plenty more proof here that I could show you, but I gotta take care of one thing, and then we're going to get into sort of a statement from from Kevin Randle, because Kevin Randle got sort of, I don't know, roped into this debate or discussion some time ago, as did Nick Redfern, and it's interesting that so many prominent figures in the field of UFOs know that he's fake. And this raises many questions. Like, if you know that he's fake and you're appearing at the same UFO conference as him, shouldn't you tell the people that paid their money to get in that he's fake? If you're appearing at an online conference with him, shouldn't you tell the organizers, this guy's a fraud and he never investigated shit for the British Ministry of Defense, and he makes ridiculous wackadoo claims like he investigated cattle mutilations and alien abductions and crop circles for the British Ministry of Defense? He says that stuff right in his biography, or at least he did up until recently. This is very problematic. He's taking money for Skype calls. He's taking money for UFO conference appearances, I suppose he's lying to the people that he's on television with, telling them the same stories, but they're not true. Because I have seen him on television making these claims, or the hosts are claiming, here's British UFO expert who ran the British Ministry of Defense program investigating UFOs. No, he never did. So this is very problematic, and it gets more problematic, and I get angry when I start thinking about all these people that work with him at UFO conferences. We know he works all the big conferences. So basically, all the top tier UFO celebrities, I believe they know about this. And they're all guilty of complacency here. They're all guilty of letting his grift go on. But we have covered this in the past, friends, and you know it to be true. There's an unwritten rule in the world of UFOs. You don't tell anybody I'm fake and my shit's fake. And I won't tell anybody that you're fake, your sources are fake, or your sources are criminals. They all do it. They all help each other with the grift. You got to run and get those UFO dollars. And you can't start telling people that guy's fake or that guy's fake, even if he is. So we've got a document here to share that is written by Kevin Randle about this whole affair. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to cite fair use. I believe that this was from a blog post of his. Nick Pope Revisited. Let's start again. I was a little disturbed by the allegations slung at Nick Pope by Dr. David Clark. By the way, Dr. David Clark is a UFO researcher, author, and he is the person who originally did the work and I believe outed Nick Pope and started saying he's a fraud. He never did any of this stuff that he says. And right after that, Nick Pope started a mudslinging against David Clark, who to this day, his allegations have proven to be factually accurate. Okay, so Dr. David Clark recently, and that Nick Pope had not had the opportunity to respond to them. I also want to point out that I have no dog in this fight. I was looking for a little fairness in all this. I expected some pushback, but in this world today, who wouldn't expect some pushback? I have now heard from another of others all about this. First, I suppose, is to answer the question of why Dr. David Clark would bring this up now, if the issue has been settled decades earlier. According to what he told me, the simple answer is that he didn't. He was responding to a question asked by Martin Willis during Willis podcasts. Second, all those who emailed me seem to object to my use of the term allegations against Nick Pope. All who emailed me said that there had been no allegations, just a statement of facts. One of those facts, an important one, had to do with Nick Pope's duty at MOD, or whether or not he, Nick Pope, had conducted official UFO investigations while serving in the MOD. Nick Pope had no other duties and devoted only 20% of his salary to dealing with UFOs. And I don't, who believes that? Nick Pope said he devoted 20% of his salary, but okay. Kevin Randle goes on to say, in other words, the majority of his time went to other things. His UFO duties involved taking down initial information about a UFO sighting and then passing it on to another organization. Again, he was a secretary. He answered the phone, he took notes, and then he forwarded the information on to the real British organization that dealt with those things and investigated those things. Nick Pope just answered the phone and forwarded information. He never investigated UFOs or anything else for the British Ministry of Defense. Kevin Randle goes on to say, to quote Nick Redfern, and now you know why I kept saying Nick Pope, back in 1994, Nick Pope told Redfern there is no specific UFO budget except the staff costs, i.e., yeah, so he's the one who said that around 20% of my salary, together with a tiny percent of some other salaries, reflected my line management supervisory role. He never had a supervisory role. See that? Nick Pope said this. This is a quote from him. Some other salaries reflecting my line management supervisory role. Nick Pope never had a supervisory role anywhere in the British Ministry of Defense. That's another fabrication. Kevin Randle goes on to say, for those interested, here's a link to the article Nick Redfern published a number of years ago that dealt with some of this. That, of course, does not rule out Nick Pope having investigated UFO sightings. It suggests that there wasn't much of a budget for any investigation. Kevin Randle's being awfully fair here. It could be said that the initial intake of information over the telephone is part of an investigation, though certainly not the most important aspect of it. And I disagree with Mr. Randle here. Taking information over the phone is not part of an investigation. It's part of being a secretary, okay? David Clark noted in communication with me, Secretarial Air Staff, where Nick worked in 1991 to 1993, was not authorized or funded to investigate UFO reports. So there we have it, right there. More information from the British government that where Nick worked in 1991 to 1993 was not authorized or funded to investigate UFO reports. That seems to be fairly definitive, but there is more relevant information. According to what David Clark provided, there is set out that clearly attached policy document written by Pope's line manager that says any follow-up investigations that were required were carried out by DI-55 intelligence staff. So there you go. Nick Pope's supervisor is saying any follow-ups to these reports that we get on the phone are carried out by DI-55 intelligence staff and or the Royal Air Force. Which basically means, again, Nick Pope did nothing but answer the phone. His supervisor says any investigation has to be done by these other agencies that actually are responsible for it. Nick Pope, you're not responsible for it. You're responsible for answering the phone and sending an email to the people who actually are responsible. And here's where we get I agree with Kevin Randle here. Kevin Randle goes on to say that, but the real problem here is that Nick Pope published on his own website. Any errors, embellishments, alterations of fact can't be blamed on the webmaster. Nick Pope approved the content. This biography said Nick Pope ran the British government's UFO project from 1991 to 1994. He researched and investigated UFOs, alien abductions, crop circles, and other strange phenomena, leading the media to call him the real Fox Mulder. His government background and his level-headed views has made him the media, film, and TV industry's go-to guy when it comes to UFOs, the unexplained, and conspiracy theories. This biography is from Nick Pope's own website. He's making these claims, and we have seen in black and white all of the substantial and supportive evidence that prove that he lies here in his own biography. So, we could go on and on here. The folder full of even more fun documents that prove that Nick Pope never investigated UFOs for the British Ministry of Defense are in the description of the video. But let me know what you think. Is what Nick Pope is doing consumer fraud? Making these claims that aren't true and then taking money based on those untrue claims? Let us know what you think in the comments. Is this just a case of him bullshitting too much? Is this a crime? Is this a consumer fraud? What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and we will get to the live chat in short order here. I want to check in with just a few things. I want to make sure that I remind you to join us for a Roswell 75th anniversary celebration event. It's a 20-hour deep dive into the Roswell event, and it starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Very important broadcast for us. This is a big deal. 20 hours of content, all shot out on one day. So I was checking in with the super chats. We don't have any of those to call out yet, but we'll get to the live chat. We'll have some time for interaction with the live chat. I'll be taking your comments and questions in just a moment. Please be sure to put your comments or questions for me in all capital letters so I know you want me to share them on the screen and talk about your comments. And I'm checking in here with the PayPal. I want to be sure to remind everyone that this is a viewer-supported show. There's a couple of ways that you can support our show. The first is that money button down there. It's a super chat. We read every single super chat and thank every single super chatter or super sticker. You can purchase one of those, and it just puts a sticker up on the screen. We take Cash App. The description of how to do that is in the video, and we take PayPal pledges as well. Every pledge goes directly to helping us continue in this journey and cover these esoteric, strange subjects like no one else. We appreciate all of our kind and generous benefactors, and we thank you all profusely. We thank our Patreon supporters. That's another way to support us. It's $1 a month for Patreon. You get some extra goodies. It's $5 a month to become a channel member. Just click that join button. You get some extra YouTube goodies, some channel badges and things like that to let people know that you're a Praise the Cash supporter of the show. And we also give the channel members all
Bluetooth
of the Patreon.
mode.
Jeez, I got to do something about that. My lights are also Bluetooth speakers, and when I turn them on, they say Bluetooth mode. So I apologize for that. So if you become a channel member, you get some extra goodies, and you also get the PayPal posts. I post to the channel member section here on our channel every one of those PayPal benefits as well. The other way that you can help us is, of course, what every good YouTuber has to say. And that is that you can like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really does help. And just a personal note, I would also really appreciate it. The Roswell deep dive videos are already up on our YouTube channel, parts 1, 2, and 3. I would appreciate immensely if all of you would go share those on your social media. Let people know that they can come and learn all about what happened at Roswell. If they're interested in the Roswell mystery, from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning until 3 a.m. the next day or 4 a.m. the next day, I will be here all day and all night in and out of the live chat. I'm not going to sit there for 20 hours. I can't. I have children and some other things to attend to. But I will have my phone with me. I will be at my computer for as long as I can through most of the broadcast. And just another note, any of the super chats or pledges tomorrow will be read aloud on our Friday show, which will be all about a panel. We're going to have a panel show again, against my better judgment. Sometimes those panel shows are rough. But if you'd like to be on the panel, be sure to wear headphones and be in the live chat where we'll share the invitation where you can come and be a part of the show. Don't just listen to the show. Don't just watch the show. Friday night, this Friday night, you can come and be a part of the show. UFO John Doe with a kind and generous 99-cent super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. We are a viewer-supported show, and it really does help. We want to thank you for helping us to praise the cash. You know, this is not a plea for money. This is a plea for partnership so we can continue, right? This is not a plea for money, friends. This is a plea for partnership so that we can continue in this great work that we are trying to do here. I was trying to find one of our bumpers here. Yeah. Praise the cash, UFO John Doe.
Here's what I want you to do. If the Lord is speaking to you, ushers, bring some baskets down. Just leave them there. I'm not finished. I got one more point to make. This is what I want you to do. Thank you, Miss Marguerite. I brought her because I want you to understand that the work must continue. This is not a plea for money. It's a plea for partnership so that we can be what we're supposed to be. I just need 497 people to say, I'll do 300.
Thank you, UFO John Doe, and all of our generous, kind, and benefactors. I want to thank Mikey as well for a $2 PayPal pledge, which was back on June 30th. So I apologize, but that was during our break. Also, perhaps during our break, very kind PayPal donation from, I'm just going to say Paul here. It says, thank you for exposing the lies of lying liars that make their money by lying out their lying liar holes. And by the way, we read every single PayPal pledge, and we read every single super chat. You can say whatever you like. We read it loud on live on air here. So thank you all for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Sixth Sense also thanking Mikey. Yeah. Cosmic Neighbors is here, says, I can't imagine all the hours Stephen put into this Roswell deep dive. Well, I had to book the guests, I had to interview the guests, and that was many, many guests. And then I had to find all of this original Roswell witness testimony, and that was a mess, Ron. It was like real low and fuzzy, and you could barely hear what the person was saying. So I ran it through every filter I could think of, trying to clean up the video and the audio, and then I had to jam it all together. And of course, on the 8-hour one, we got a copyright claim for 2 minutes of music that was in a government video that was supposed to be free. So I had to somehow try to edit that 8 hours, edit that, $2 out, 2 minutes out. It was a nightmare. Because Ron, when you have a really huge file that's 8 hours long, it's so hard to zoom down to a 2-minute section of it, right? I would thank Al Warrior for a kind and generous $5 longtime show supporter and Patreon member. I want to thank Al Warrior for his continued support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thank you, Al Warrior. And we have impersonator Somnidium BGN with a kind and generous $10. Oh, please get my name right. Just kidding. Don't even mention it. It just keeps on doing what you do. I'll get it right. We have who is it? Someone named Mavrogenus, impersonator Somnium, and it took me forever to get their name right, but eventually I got it, and I was like Mavrogenus because it was spelled real weird. So I'll get your name. I got the first Imperator Somnium BGN. That's what I think it is. Imperator Somnium BGN. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. And we thank you for helping us to praise the cash, friends.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
I still have on my list. One of the things I didn't finish during my break is that I did not finish the new bumpers. I've got new intro bumpers, exit bumpers, break bumpers, praise the cash bumpers, please subscribe bumpers, and more. I'm going to work on those later tonight. And by the way, we'll be clipping out. I want to thank Spooky, who's back to helping me with the show. I can't tell you how happy I am about that because I suck at some things that Spooky is great at. So what a great thing to, I think it's important sometimes. I love doing everything myself. I'm a DIY guy. You see that cabin I built? I built that whole thing myself with a little bit of help from a friend on the roofs because I'm not a roof guy. But I'm big on doing everything I can myself. But at some point, you have to realize you have certain strengths and you also have certain weaknesses. I used to think that I was pretty good at graphics until I had to make a thumbnail every day, sometimes twice a day if there was 2 things going on. And then I realized I suck at it. I'm good at it actually, but I'm really, really slow. And Spooky is great at it. And I'm always pissed off because Spooky will say something like, do you need a thumbnail? What's the title? And I type in the title. And like 2 minutes later, maybe 5 minutes max, there it is, this beautiful thumbnail that would have taken me 2 hours to produce. And my point is, I'm starting to realize that you know what? Sometimes the universe sends you a gift, and that that help from somebody that's great at something that you suck at is a gift from the universe. Accept it. Yeah. So finally, I wanted to mention that today was a good day for our show because I really got to feel a bit more like a real journalist today. I was making a lot of phone calls. And I wanted to mention on this Nick Pope story, remember we started the story with Cal Korff, who is, I'll remind you of what he said. Cal Korff is filing criminal charges or attempting to file criminal charges against the people that are running some event that is booking fake, what he says, fake British UFO director Nick Pope, who is a fraud and never a UFO director. So I reached out to the Roswell police, and they currently have no comment. And they referred me to the town spokesperson. I also reached out to this actual person. His name is John Dillman. He is, I think, he works for the Roswell Daily Record, which is the Roswell newspaper that is running the event that is booking Nick Pope. So I reached out to him, didn't get a call back. I reached out to the police. They said, we have no comment at this time. And they referred me to the town spokesperson, a person named Todd, who deals with media requests, very kind fellow. And so I'll get to what Todd told me. I want to be very clear here. I do not want to misspeak, right? I want to say exactly what he said. So yes. So Todd, who is a spokesperson for the town of Roswell for media relations, he's a media relations person for the town, says that the people who hired Nick Pope was the newspaper. It was the newspaper's event that Nick Pope was speaking at, and it has nothing to do with the city's festivities or things they're running, except that often many different events are sort of taken part in the town because they all happen on the same day. So apparently the town is sort of denying any responsibility for any consumer fraud taking place, instead saying that it was the newspaper's event. It has nothing to do with the city. And he says that within separate entities, one of those speakers' event, so there are multiple events taking place in their town during the 75th anniversary. And within the major event are separate entities that are running these smaller events that are all part of the major event. In any case, he said one of those speakers is Nick Pope for the event that the newspaper Roswell Daily Record is running, called the Roswell Incident. I do have his email here, and I'm going to be forwarding to him, per his request, the proof that we have that Nick Pope never ran a UFO program for the British government. And I'll be following up with the Roswell police. I want to see if they're going to investigate. Is this consumer fraud? Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay. King of Hugo Mundo is here. That Linda Moulton Hell meltdown was too funny. Yeah, that's what somebody asked me about what my favorites were last night. That didn't happen on my show, but I sent in the question and we clipped it out of the show it happened on. It was my question. That was one of my favorite things that happened during the run of the show. Just to see her melt down like that when confronted with her fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery. It's crazy. Oh, and I want to remind everybody that the Wacky World of Wilcock, I want to thank Wild Ascension. You can look up her YouTube channel. It's Wild Ascension. She'll be starting her own show very soon, and we want to support her, especially because she's been kind and generous enough to donate some of her artistic talents here with those Wilcock edits that are funny as shit. So go on over and subscribe to her as well. So we'll take some comments, questions from the live chat. Oh, here's some earlier David Wilcock content from the Mothership podcast. Cosmic Neighbors is asking, is are pants mandatory for the Roswell special event? No, at least not for me. Ron, one of the reasons I love this job is because I don't have to wear pants. My wife makes fun of me. I go for long stretches to see how long I could go without actually having to put on pants. But unfortunately, during the week, I have to get my son off the bus and things, so I got to go outside. If it wasn't for that, during their break, I had pajamas on for like 3 weeks during my break here, too. Cal Corf says, this is the paper about Nick Pope. He says he has a PhD. It's just not true. Yeah, apparently his... oh, are you talking about... you're talking about Kevin Randle. Yeah, Cal Corf has a long-standing beef with Kevin Randle. What is it, like decades-long beef you got with that guy? I would like to say, Mr. Corf, that I like and respect both of you, and I want to remain neutral on your dispute with Mr. Randle. He didn't have very kind things to say about you either, so I know it goes both ways. But I'm glad that you could separately interview and still both be a part of the Roswell thing. Cal Corf wanted to do sort of a debate with Kevin Randle about the Roswell event, but that never really materialized. Yeah, I don't know. The King says, Stephen, Linda doing a live show, it's pure evil, and still using that photo that is fake. Yeah, she's still selling it behind her paywall, even after she got caught. The Mothership Podcast is here and says, love you, Cammy, and best to you and your family. Thank you. I appreciate it. And is that Wild Dissension, right? It's called the Mothership Podcast. Good idea. Good name for a podcast. I'm jealous. That article I posted does say no attendance was required, and the GAO determined it was a diploma mill. It lost its... Okay, this is... related to that. Cal Corf says, no beef. I would debate him anytime. He won't debate. I get it. Yeah, I think that his opinion has changed over the years. You're right about that. He thinks a lot of the witnesses are no longer credible. Was Pope ever British military and defense, or whatever big title he uses on Ancient Aliens? Hi, Nikel Regal. I believe you're a new user here. Nice to see you. You are most welcome here, and thank you for your question. He worked for the British Ministry of Defense, but as a very low-ranking secretary, the bottom of the rung. And he basically just answered the phone. You could see, you can rewind here. We covered all of this. Essentially, Nick Pope lied through his teeth. He never ran any British UFO program. He never investigated UFOs. He never investigated cattle mutilations. He never investigated UFO abductions or alien abductions or crop circles like he claimed. He answered the phone. And we've seen tonight these wrong number reports that he himself wrote. He had to file them as wrong number reports. People are calling me when they should be calling DI-55, the actual British intelligence that actually investigated UFOs. So did he work for the British Ministry of Defense? Yes. But all he did was answer the phone, and when somebody was talking about UFOs, he forwarded it, their information to the real people that actually were responsible for UFOs and investigating them. Nick Pope was never responsible for investigating anything for the British Ministry of Defense. He was responsible for answering the phone and forwarding messages to people like a low-level secretary. Justin Wilson is here. Welcome, Justin Wilson. And Nikel Regal says, sneaky, sneaky. Yeah, I agree. B. Baker says, does the Ministry of Defense have some sort of version of stolen valor, since Nick Pope is representing himself as more than a secretary? I don't know. And the Ministry of Defense is very difficult to get to, but I am going to... I'm going to try to get to them and ask for some comment on that. I think that's a very, very good question, right? And yeah, Calcorf. Yeah, take care. Calcorf is one of our panel members for the Roswell 75th anniversary special event that begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to remind each and every one of you that we're doing this Roswell special event, and you are invited. Come and be a part of it. It's going to be a big all-day event. Roswell 75th anniversary deep dive. And let me I will share the first one right now before I forget, because I want to be sure to thank each and every person that helped make this possible. And that, of course, for our Roswell 75th anniversary broadcast, 20 hours of content, interviews, testimony, and more related to the Roswell event, premiering tomorrow on the 75th anniversary of Roswell, 9 a.m. We want to thank Don Schmidt, Kevin Randle, Cal Korff, of course, who was in our live chat tonight, alien scientist, Michael Schratt, Tom Carey, Walter Bosley, and Stanton Friedman. Rest in peace, Stanton Friedman, wherever you are. I miss him. I once in a while would call him up when I was researching something and found something really good and juicy. And he was always there. And, it's a lesson to us because I took that for granted. And one day he wasn't there to pick up the phone anymore. I wish I would have told him how much I appreciated what he taught me and what he shared with me and how I got to know him a bit before he died after interviewing him several times. The Mothership Podcast says, my whole childhood is ruined. Yeah. So basically he was a clown. Yeah, I would think so, right? Then the Sixth Sense reminding everybody, join us tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard, 6 a.m. Pacific for the start of our 20-hour Roswell 75th Anniversary Deep Dive, Part 1. Yes, and make sure, please, like and share that video. Please put it on your social media. If you know somebody that's interested in aliens and Roswell and all of these strange things, copy that video address link and send it through Messenger or DM on Twitter or whatever, Snapchat, whatever you use. If you know a crazy person like us, we're not crazy, we're just extremely curious. If you know somebody that'd be interested, please send them the link to that video. We want to have the best turnout that we can for our first big 20-hour broadcast special event. Mario's Taco says, we need a Wilcock show, Stephen, please. Well, I could, but then all I would be doing was showing him talking to mooses and squirrels and shit. Like, I don't think he's doing any actual content. But if he does, I will jump right on that, Mario. So you know me. I consider it a gift to my week, right? Especially if it's a slow week and there's not much going on in the land of conspiracy land. And David Wilcock drops a 4-hour video. I'm like, oh, thank you, David Wilcock, and thank you, Jesus, because I could turn that into 2 shows if it's a long enough broadcast. We've done that, parts 1, part 2. Yeah, I also want to mention that the other people that are great at that, Marios, if you want to watch them, is Hidden in Plain Sight. They roast him something fierce, these 2 guys, and they're so funny, better at it than me, I think. And I keep trying to get them, but we have trouble scheduling. I want one of these new Wilcock videos I want to do here with those 2 guys, because I think that would be great. They've done their, critique of him and joking and laughing at what bullshit he says separately. I think if we all did it together, it would be a great show. Yes, The Sixth Sense, he hasn't been so active recently. No, he hasn't, right? The Mothership Podcast. Take a look back on Stephen's older shows. He has a lot of older Wilcock shows. Trust me. You'll have hours of entertainment. Yeah. He's just been acting like a crazy fool in his backyard. I think he really has snapped Mothership Podcast. I really do. Yeah, and banana sandwich basically means to make you their bitch. I asked around, you're getting old when you don't understand slang terms and you have to ask younger people, right? Actually, the phrase is often used when something just completely makes you mad. So I guess they made him angry, right? Or try to drive him crazy. That's another meaning that could be. Apparently, satanic reptilian aliens are trying to make David Wilcock into a banana sandwich. They're trying to drive him crazy and make him angry, right? Justin says, can't believe the shit he says. At first, I thought he was putting on an act for money. Now I think he's just batshit crazy. I think it's an act. I think maybe it's 50-50, Justin. I think that it's totally an act for money. You think he's batshit crazy? We could split the difference. Maybe half the time he's batshit crazy, and half the time he really believes his own bullshit. You know? Sixth Sense. I was wondering what a banana sandwich might have meant. Oh my God, where the hell did he get that from? Oh my, yeah, yeah. I really don't know. I want to make sure that I remind everybody as well that this is a new portion, a new sort of feature of our show is that we'll be sharing our research materials every show. I hope, you know, time permitting, space permitting. JPG images and Word documents don't take very much space on the Google Drive. We have I don't know how many. We have a few terabytes of cloud storage. So every show, I think it's important that anybody can look at the research materials that we're using, that anybody can have access to them to do their own shows. The Grateful Dead rules apply. It's Creative Commons, all of this material. You're free to use it, even for commercial purposes, whatever you want to do with it. So those data packets, we're going to call them data packets, for every show will be listed in the description of the video going forward. So what else can I say? I'm going to try and go get some rest because I got to wake up early tomorrow. I have never woken up at that early to deal with show business here, but I want to be sure that I is. My PayPal link says that it's broken. Really? There's a description. In the description of the video, Nicole Regal, there is instructions. You just send a PayPal to truthseekershow@gmail.com. But let me check that link right now. That's important. That's the money button, and we should have that working. Let's check that out. Expired link maybe. No, if you go to our main channel, here, I will put the link right in the video. 1 second. Let me get over there to you, Nicole. We don't want to leave any... we've got to make it as easy as possible for people to send a pledge in. I hate when stuff like that happens. Here's a link to pledge. Pledge to our show through PayPal. There you go. And I think that should work. I'm going to try it right now from the live chat and see. Yeah, it says donate to truthseekershow@gmail.com in support of Truth Seekers Show. Also, be sure to add a note and anything that you want me to call out, and we'll be sure to do that. Thanks for letting me know. But it appears to me to be working on my end. B. Baker says, once you try lizard, you never go back. Is that a sex comment, B. Baker? B. Baker is dirty. Yeah, I agree with you. The mothership says all those YouTubers who comment to Wilcock all sound alike and all have the same inflections. And yeah, and they're always like heaping praise on him, which to me is suspicious. They're all around a paragraph long. She believes that's David. It may be, yeah. It may be. It may be David. But how narcissistic do you have to be to comment on your own video as somebody else and then praise yourself? You know, boy, in dealing with narcissists, it's like it's unbelievable some of the things narcissists do. You know, like buy views, buy subscribers. What? They don't translate into any money, so it's really just about your own ego, right? To tell people, look, I have this many subscribers, when you really don't. They're bots in Malaysia or the Philippines or China. Or look, I got this many views, and you really didn't get that many views. You know, it's a little known secret, but for a time, I was managing some people's and companies' social media accounts as part of my business. You would be surprised at the number of people that wanted me to buy views for them. And I would try to explain, especially to a musician, that if you put out a music video, first of all, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to make a music video. And secondly, if you buy views for the music video, none of that is going to translate into iTunes sales for your single or whatever. So, and also YouTube doesn't like it, especially if the video is monetized. But what most of these people who buy views do is they turn the monetization off. They pump themselves 100,000 or however many 100,000 views, and then they turn the monetization on, because then YouTube doesn't care. If the monetization isn't on, YouTube doesn't care if you view a video out the wazoo. I'm sure they care, but they're not going to delete your channel for it. But for monetized videos, they care a lot about bot views, because people are paying to have people view those commercials. And if it turns out it's all a huge rack of phones in China hitting that video 10 times a day for 20 days, I don't understand bot views. I don't understand people who do it. I don't understand. I guess I don't understand narcissists. I mean, I have my own narcissistic traits. Don't get me wrong, but I try to keep them under control. I learned a long time ago that it's best to be humble and hungry. If you're humble and hungry, number one, if you're humble, people will help you. You ever help somebody that's an arrogant, egotistical prick? Do you feel obligated to help that person? No. But if somebody's humble in their success or what they're trying to accomplish, you're more likely to help them. And staying hungry. There's a famous Les Brown, who's a motivational speaker. I really like Les Brown. Les Brown talks about staying hungry. You've got to stay hungry, because if you stay hungry, sometimes that opportunity will come when you least expect it, and you're hungry for it, and you're ready for it, you're prepared for it. I used to also, in magic, I would practice incessantly, like obsessively practice sleight of hand. And if I didn't have any shows for weeks at a time, but I knew if I just kept practicing and being ready and being hungry for that show to come along, I would be ready for it, and I would be well prepared, and I would do a great job doing it, and I would get hired again. And that worked. That really works. I think it's important. Stay hungry, friends. Stay humble as well. UFO John Doe, good luck tomorrow on the marathon. I'll have it running in the background while working. I'm going to go after that beam or the Billy Meyer Lazar UFO. Great. Yeah. And UFO John Doe, we're trying to get 3D printed models of the beam ship and Billy Meyer's Lazar UFO. I can show you this. This is something very interesting, and that is that we will be giving these away all day tomorrow. If anybody gives a pledge of $30 or more, we'll be mailing these Roswell debris replicas. And this is a debris replica of the Roswell I-beams as described by Jesse Marcel Sr. and Jr. Of course, it's a reproduction. I don't have real UFO material. If I did, I'd probably sell it to Tom DeLonge. By the way, that's another story we're going to be covering. Did you know that Tom DeLonge bought those parts pieces off of Linda Hale for something like $30,000 and then got over $1 million from the government somehow? We'll be covering that in next week, friends. Horse Lover Fat says, taking a break from a project just to come by and say Nick Pope is a dope who wants us to shoot down UFOs. Well, thank you. And thank you, UFO John Doe, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. You are a blessing to the show. And we all know I am very blessed. Thank you for blessing me and the show, UFO John
I like
Doe.
being able to help others. I like being able to fulfill my dreams, and it takes money to do what we're doing. That's why God gives you influence to help the world, to make it a better place. We don't ask for money, and people send in millions of dollars to help us keep the broadcast on the air. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a nice place to live and being blessed. And money should never be the focus of your life. If that's all you're doing, that's shallow. It should be to be a blessing to others.
Praise the cash, UFO John Doe. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Thanks to all you kind and generous benefactors with your kind and generous pledges that keep the show going. All right, I'm going to bounce on out of here. I'm going to try to get some rest. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank Kevin Randle for allowing me to share a portion of his one-time blog covering this Nick Pope story. I want to thank Spooky for the thumbnail. I want to thank all of our participants for the Roswell special event tomorrow. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the Patreon supporters. I want to thank the channel members. And we just had a new channel member. When we call out, if you become a channel member, we call out and thank every person that becomes a channel member. And we had a new one. Oh, 1 second. I had it earlier. It's in one of these live chats, a notification of that. Forsaken Truth has become a Truth Seekers YouTube channel member. Thank you, Forsaken Truth, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Much, much appreciated. All right, so I'm going to bounce on out of here. I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to be well rested. I'm going to be up tomorrow, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, for our very special Roswell 75th anniversary deep dive. Over 20 hours of content, interviews, and testimony and information related to the Roswell event. Sixth Sense holding down, I want to thank him as well, holding down the live chat room lead moderator here. That is much, much appreciated, Sixth Sense. So, what can I say, friends? Tomorrow is our big day, and we'll see. You know, I'd like to say that I did that as a personal project, and I don't care if it doesn't get a lot of views, but of course, remember, the more views we get, the greater our take from YouTube, and the more subscribers. I'm hoping that, if nothing else, that special event gets us some new subscribers. So I'm trying to divorce myself from the outcome, but you know, it was a lot of work to put this thing together. So I really hope that we get a great deal of views on those. We're going to be putting together a playlist of parts 1, 2, and 3 right after tomorrow. I have that and some other show business to deal with. I will be back Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing a panel show discussing Roswell and all things related to the strange world of conspiracy land, UFOs, Bigfoot, whatever you want to talk about. But I think probably are going to be more focused towards Roswell, since will have all just digested 20 hours. You got to watch every single hour. You're not allowed on the panel, every single minute. So we're doing a panel show Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be here. And you too can be a part of the show. Finally, I want to remind everybody that if you're listening in audio podcast land, you are missing half the fun. Go on over to YouTube, hit the search bar, the little magnifying glass button, and put Truth Seekers, one word, in the search bar. Look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses. You'll find our channel, Truth Seekers, here on YouTube. Smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you too will know about special events here, live broadcasts. Don't just listen to the show. Don't just watch the show. Come on over here to YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be a part of the show. You are most welcome here. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, I'm Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you too will know about future special events you can attend here. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of our kind and generous benefactors, because people all over the world send a few bucks in pledges, either through PayPal or through the super chat down there in the live chat, the money button, super stickers. We have and take Cash App pledges as well. I want to thank everybody who has signed up to be a Patreon member, because for as little as $1 a month, you can get some extra content from us here. Additionally, I'd like to thank the channel members who get a bunch of YouTube benefits as well as all the Patreon benefits for as little as $5 a month. I also wanted to mention that I have something strange for my friends. These are Roswell wreckage replicas, which I have been making here. I also wanted to mention that for today's special event, we have prizes for those of you pledging $30 or more, either through Cash App, PayPal, or Super Chat. And this is a gift that we will be sending everybody who pledges $30 or more. This is a Roswell debris replica, and it's designed to look exactly as Jesse Marcel and his son had described. This is the so-called I-beam wreckage. This is a replica, of course, and I'm happy that I'll be able to offer these to anybody pledging $30 or more to our show today. This is just a special free gift that we're going to be giving you kind and generous people for supporting our show. Well, friends, let's get back into it. Well, friends, actually, it might have been more accurate for me to say, let's get back out of it. Trying to bounce out of here, but we got a late PayPal donation and one other thing. So I want to thank very much Nicole Regal. I believe as a new supporter, a new live chat participant, you are most welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for a kind and generous $2 pledge to our show. Much, much appreciated. And that helps us continue to move the show forward. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for helping us raise the cash.
You're watching Truth Seekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash.
And finally, one last issue that I want to resolve. I didn't want to end the broadcast without resolving it. Somebody in the live chat asked how Stanton Friedman is taking part in this Roswell anniversary event tomorrow because he has passed away. I have included clips of Stanton Friedman from an interview that I did obviously previous to his death. I knew him well enough to know that he would not mind me including his thoughts on Roswell into this special event. So I included that. I also included an original interview that Stanton Friedman conducted with original Roswell witness Gerald Anderson, and we cleaned up the audio and cleaned up the video the best that we could. Really wanted to include this story from Stanton Friedman that he gave during an interview I conducted with him, because he tells the story of how he found Jesse Marcel. And for those that don't know, if Stanton Friedman never found and got the testimony of Jesse Marcel out into the public, I don't think that any of us would have heard of Roswell. He is largely responsible for, he's one of the original civilian investigators. Somebody introduced him to Jesse Marcel. He flew out there to talk to him and get his testimony. I think it was important to include that. What else can I say except that I thought it was very, very important that we include the history, right? So that you understand that it's really due to people like Stanton Friedman that we know what we do know about the story. So now I'm going to bounce on out of here. Thank you all for your attendance. I appreciate it. Good night. God bless all of you. I'll see you all tomorrow, 9 a.m. for a Truth Seekers Roswell special event. I'll be there in the live chat having my breakfast. I hope you will too. Good night, friends.